Welcome back to another episode of the Katrina Johnson Show. So happy to have you with me today. Remember to subscribe, share the podcast, leave comments. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, you can follow me online at katrinajohnson.online or on Instagram at I am Katrina Johnson. I thank you again for joining me, and let's get into the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Katrina Johnson Show. I am so grateful that you're with me as usual. This season's topic is, what does living your best life really mean? And more specifically, what does living your best life mean to me? Whatever it means to me may be totally different for you. And so I'm going to take some time over the next several weeks to share what it means to me. I'm always talking about living your best life. That is very key. That is very dear to my heart. And as I share with you guys my journey, then you'll understand why. Now, one of the things that defines living my best life is happiness. And let me just define happiness according to the dictionary. Happiness is the state of being happy. Okay, so what is being happy? What is happy? What does happy mean? Feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Also, mental or emotional state, well-being defined by positive or pleasant emotions. And it could range from contentment to intense joy. So I have experienced that when it comes to, being happy. I have experienced contentment and intense joy. I may not have all of the desires of my heart yet. And the key word there is yet, because I do believe and very confident that I will have all of the desires of my heart. But I am very content now with the things that I do have. The things like the roof over my head. And let me tell you a little story. I'm going to give you a little story about why I say that I'm content with the roof over my head. Obviously, we should all be content and very grateful for the things that we have in this life, like the roof over our head, like water, like food, like vehicles, like a job, the fact that we woke up this morning, right? That grateful state of mind, you can't beat that. That is what I live by. But being content with the roof over my head, and more importantly, the intense joy, just being overjoyed. I had twice this happened to me, where I just stood in my living room and became overwhelmed with joy. Tears came up in my eyes, and I was just overjoyed with tears of joy. And that happened twice within the 2 year span, almost 2 years, basically 2 year span of living where I'm currently living. And the backstory to that, why was I so overjoyed? I must admit that I have experienced not having a place to call my own more times than I would love to admit or like to admit. So the fact that I've experienced not having a roof over my head or a place to call my own, that alone brought joy, that overwhelming joy to me. And like I said, it happened a couple times. I just stood in my living room floor and just was thanking God. Because there was a time before I moved into this place that I thought, wow, I had fear going on. Wow, am I going to be able to, sustain this place and stay here? I had fear. I'm admitting, I'm being transparent. I had fear of not knowing whether or not I would be able to carry this through. But I've been doing it. And when I did a little more research on happiness and, the behavior behind it, I found that behavior scientists say that happiness can predict health and longevity, but it's not something that just happens. It's not something that just happens to us. So thinking back over my life and the transition that took place in 2016, I have to say that it was the decisions that I made that brought me to that point of being in the living room a couple of times, 2 different occasions, and being overjoyed. So everyone, from what research shows, everyone has the power to make small changes in our behavior, our surroundings, and relationships that can help set us on course for a happier life. So that right there, that is what happened to me. I made some changes. I took my power and used it in order to bring myself to a point in my life where I felt happier. So I'm saying all that to say we have the power within us to be happy, to make things happen in order to reach that goal of happiness. And don't get me wrong, we're not going to be happy 24/7. I am not happy 24/7. There's still some areas in my life that I know I need to make some changes so that I can be happier. And as long as I live, there will be hurdles to get over to achieve happiness at some stage and in certain areas of life, period. But doing it once means I can do it again. And my brief story that I just shared, true story. At times in my life, I really didn't have a place to call my own. And so I had this fear of, will I be able to, sustain? Will I, lose this place? And so on and so forth. So there was a lot of emotional and fearfulness within me that I had to deal with. And so I am just grateful again that this is not the end place for me, right? This is not my final destination of a roof over my head, but for the fact that I've been able to sustain, that means the world to me. I was just overjoyed and happy. The 2 times that I had stood in my living room floor and just being so grateful for the fact that I was in a place, that meant a lot for me. That was an example of my happiness. And so, as I said at the beginning, what living your best life means for me may not be the same for you. What it means to you may not be the same for someone else. So one of the things that makes living my best life a success is the fact that I'm happy. I'm happy, I'm content, and at times overjoyed with my life as it is now. And one of the reasons is because of the roof I have over my head and being able to sustain. So this is a brief one today. I hope you got something out of it. And until next time, stay inspired. Feel free to also share with me what living your best life means to you. You can hit me up on Instagram at I am Katrina Johnson. You can go on my website at katrinajohnson.online. Subscribe to my newsletter, and I will be more than happy to communicate with you and keep the conversation going.